Gouthro, and I am a ceramic artist. My work, it does take time. I'm not easily satisfied, so I break a lot of things. I make things and then I break them. I'm really pretty hard on myself. So it takes me quite a while. I came from a family that was working class. Everything was about basically just trying to get by. My mother was a waitress, my dad was a barber, and life was hard. And art was something that just wasn't a part of my upbringing at all. And I think the first time I happened upon it was when I found a magazine, and I think it was a National Geographic magazine, and it was talking about the artworks that had been saved from the flood in Florence. And this is a long time ago, and I just remember thinking about artworks and wondering, how does somebody become an artist? I think that my mother was very creative but never had an opportunity. When I was in art school, I was teaching a night class in ceramics, and I picked up my mom one night and said, why don't you come with me to this, just to get her out of the house? And she said, oh no, I couldn't possibly. And I said, yes, come, it doesn't matter. And she came, and she just sat there and she really didn't do anything. She was very intimidated by all these things because she always felt really insecure about not having an education. And the next day she said, well, would you be willing to bring over some of that clay that was in class? And I came over about a week later, and she had filled the coffee table with all these ceramic sculptures and things that she had just pinched, and I was just like, wow. And that's when I realized, oh, now I know where this comes from. My mother would have been an artist. Once I started thinking that maybe I could be an artist, maybe I could draw and paint, that's really what I wanted to do. And I thought, I'm going to be a painting major. But what happened was, after my second year, you had to take a 3D class. And you could either pick sculpture or ceramics. So I was, being a painting major, I thought, well, I don't know, I don't really want to do either of them. So I thought, well, I'll just take ceramics. And then I took my first ceramic class, and that was it. I just started painting on clay, and that's what I've always done. I don't want to make things that look like something that actually exists. I'm combining things that I see. My garden is really inspiring to me, but I like to combine shapes, like seed pod shapes, flower forms, crustaceans, pretty much all kinds of natural forms. And I like a lot of texture, and I really care about creating movement in my pieces. It's a struggle for me, but I try very hard to create movement in my pieces as well. Also, detail. I'm really interested in what happens on the inside of things, on the inside of plants, on the inside of anything, rocks, shells, just what's on the inside really appeals to me. So I like to paint on my pieces, like with colors that look the way they're going to be when they're fired. One of the things I think that a lot of people who start working in ceramics are really attracted to is what happens in the kiln. The fact that things change in the kiln, and it's like a surprise when you open it up. I've spent my time controlling that. I don't really want those surprises. I try very hard to have it look the way I want it to look, as if I was doing a painting, where I could see. I'm pretty much always trying to control it. And I love color, I love pattern, I love texture, and that has not always been popular in the ceramic world. But I have pretty much kind of always walked that line, and I've been lucky enough to show in fine art galleries a lot, as opposed to just craft galleries. And so that hasn't been something that has been too much of an issue for me. Shortly after graduating, getting a show in a very good gallery in Winnipeg. It was called the Thomas Gallery, and at the time it was a very, very, well-known, good gallery. So that gave me confidence. And then I got a grant I won a grant from the Manitoba Arts Council to go down to Seattle. It was Pottery Northwest, and so I came down here and started working on my own, and I ended up staying and working at Pottery Northwest for 7 years. I was picked up by the Francine Setters Gallery, which is a very well-known gallery in Seattle. I became part of her stable, and I had several one-person shows there. And then my work was bought mostly by the other artists in her gallery, including Jacob Lawrence, that I was very, very proud of. So Jacob Lawrence bought one of my pieces, and that made me feel like, okay. Now I've been teaching for 30 years. I never thought I wanted to teach. I just thought, no, I don't think I'd be good at that. I was asked by Susie Purvis, who was the director of the Kirkland Arts Center, how about you just this one quarter? And so I thought, okay, I can do that. I'll do that. And so I did. I started teaching, and it was like, oh, I like this. I like teaching. And I taught there for 30 years. I love teaching. I still teach. So I teach an online class out of my studio, and I travel all over the world and teach, which is how I get to travel. What keeps me going is that I always have more ideas than I can ever get done. So I'm never lacking an idea. I'm never lacking what I want to do. I'm just lacking time. Yeah. And I'm working towards a show right now that will be in October 2024. So I have another year, and it'll take me a year to do it because I'll make a lot of pieces that I won't show. But as I'm working, things will occur to me on different pieces, and I'll think, oh, that's where I might go next. But not for this show, because I really want there to be continuity in the work. I can't imagine ever running out of ideas. It's just not gonna happen. I'll be working until I drop.